Hi guys, Ramsey here, Technical Sales Manager from Suntech, and I'm here with...
Luke Spicer, Managing Director of Skyline Solar.
Today guys, I thought we'd do something a little bit different. You may have seen on our socials, we post a lot of testimonial and showcase installs with the lovely Skyline Solar. So today I'd like to do a little video about some important Q&A regarding solar systems in residential applications, and mainly for the consumer awareness educational purposes. So I just want to reiterate, this is not a sponsorship between me and Luke. We're just industry enthusiasts. We want to share some of our insights and what to look out for in residential solar for you guys, the end consumers. But just to give a little context, Luke, can you just give a few words and the people who are not familiar with Skyline Solar intro?
So I started Skyline Solar close to 15 years ago, and since then we learned pretty fast that quality products was the only way to go in the industry, because even back then there was a flood of cheaper products that were destined to not last. So over the years we've just always focused on premium quality products with quality installations, always backed our work and supported our clients, and that's what's led us to be here 15 years later.
Cool, thanks Luke. Just want to mention a plug, he's been using Suntech since 2011, right?
Yep, since we began.
That's just a typical example of a synergy between a long-standing manufacturer and a long-standing retailer. They go hand in hand and harmoniously together. So guys, without further ado, let's start with our questions. First one, when is the right time to buy solar, Luke?
It's always the right time. The moment that you think, I should look at this, now's the perfect time, because the longer you wait, the more you're going to pay in power bills. The less rebates around every year, they reduce, and so if you can jump in now, start saving, power prices only go up as well, then the answer is now is always the right time to buy solar.
I'm in agreement with this, and from the manufacturer side, panels have been the cheapest they've ever been in the whole life cycle of solar. So get in now before they start creeping back up to take advantage of this monumental time in the solar supply chain.
Definitely.
Cool. Next question. What are some of the constraints that could make solar, unfeasible for some consumers? I remember me and you, we worked on a system together in Brighton Le Sands, and it was kind of a really awkward roof facet, wrong direction. It was shaded by its neighboring dwelling, and a massive gum tree on the northwest side. So other than this, what are some things that make systems potentially unfeasible, just to ensure that people don't just take the plunge just because of the hype around solar, without understanding what are some of the deal breakers to make a system make sense?
So you've always got to look at the outside factors, of course, things like shading, that's always a big issue. There are ways around it with microinverters or optimizers. We primarily specialize in optimizers through SolarEdge. So this way you can mitigate most circumstances, and it's just about understanding what those effects will have on your property, on your system's performance, to say, all right, it's not an optimal 30 degree north, 30 degree pitch, and you're going to get ideal sun all day, so your savings are going to be huge. It's more being realistic and saying, all right, we've got constraints, flat roof, shade here, performance blockers there. What your investment is going to result in is a smaller result, but it's still a result. So always keep in mind, some solar is better than none solar.
See guys, just based on what Luke just mentioned now in detail, even the physical aspects of solar, is kind of a lot of considerations to take on board before you commit to an install. And therefore, this is a key red flag you should watch out for when you approach a company and they propose to you a one-size-fits-all system without asking you detailed questions about your house, your consumption profile, the physical constraints of the site. Have they come to your house and seen it? All these questions they should be asking if they are true professionals and really good retailers. Cool. So this is a really cool question. So in current times, PV manufacturers declare 25 years warranty.
Mm-hmm.
Like McDonald's sells cheeseburgers, for example, to unhealthy people. So in your experience, does this matter a lot, and what is the real significance of a warranty and what to look out for?
So yes, it's a yes and no. Across the board, some people do look for the long warranties. They believe that their warranties of 25 years is going to be as simple to deal with as, say, a 3-year warranty on a fridge from Harvey Norman. Unfortunately, what they don't realise is the process that goes behind what that warranty involves. So when they find out that they've got to actually potentially be out of pocket for investigations, working out which of the panels have failed, the labour costs are extremely high versus reimbursements for products under the laws. So it starts to become a bit more of an important factor once you detail this to say, look, the 25 years warranty you want to make sure the company is around for, they're going to help you with, and not only the brand, but the company that has supplied you the system, because you need their assistance in this. So 25 years on any panel is not always worth it, but 25, 30 years or even 40 years on quality brands that have been in the industry that time, they start to mean something. And when you tie that with an installer who's been around in the industry for a long time, this is where it starts to make sense. Because a warranty, anybody can print anything on paper and say, here's your warranty, but getting that covered is another factor. So we see people out there that have gone with big brands, LG, a product that we never really had much to do with, luckily, because now we're seeing a lot of people go through painful processes to try to get any form of warranties done, which they're having to deal with a lot of now. So again, just because it's written on paper doesn't always mean something. You've got to have some support there behind it.
That's great. So remember, guys, you're installing a generator, a big operation on your roof. It's not no white goods, brown goods, electrical appliance. So when you can't compare the warranty of these appliances to solar appliances. It's completely different, and therefore the significance of the installer is paramount in ensuring that they can support you through the lifetime of it. So this brings me on to my next question. What are the different grades of installers, and what is their corresponding usefulness?
Different grades of installers, like in any industry, I guess you've got people who are new to the industry, who haven't had much experience at all, and then you've got people that have been in the industry for a long time. As a retailer that's been in the industry, I used to install myself. I know what's involved with the process of what's going on the roof. So any of the companies that we engage to do our work, we vet them thoroughly to make sure they do have experience in the industry. Our teams, I think our youngest team is probably about 5 years experience in the industry. Another one is 10, and another one would be a good 15 plus years in the industry experience. And this is on the roofs, installing, so they're up to date with the technology, with the changes, the rule changes, product changes, requirements, because a lot of these things that the general public don't know about that affects the installation process, and the newcomers to the industry don't necessarily know about, is what will affect what happens on the roof. So definitely having experienced teams that are dedicated to doing a quality job. There's a lot of guys out there that just want to get in, whip out the day's work and go home. And don't have a care factor for what they're doing. Plenty of those guys out there, and they're just usually cheap and quick, but you get what you pay for. So you'll find problems with wiring later on, or faults and potentially leaks and damage to property, things like that. This is a big difference of the quality of the installer as to, if things happen on the roof, how they're going to rectify that, make it good, make sure everything is as it should be at the end of the day.
Great point. So one is to see time in the market, how experienced the company is. This is a good checklist to have. Secondly, make sure they're not in a fast-paced, volume-based business where they solely rely on the turnover of systems per day or per week. Otherwise, as you know, when you rush things can be done to a non-competent level. So these are just 2 tips we have when you're selecting your installer. And now, look, what are the nuts and bolts of a professionally installed solar system? So what are the key things that you must get right? For example, a consumer might have a system installed and they don't know if it's been installed properly. What are some things they should check?
Well, I mean, look, obviously, most systems nowadays will come with an app, and you can check the performance of that system. If you think there's any sort of inconsistencies, you should be able to go back to that company who should have some sort of support to be able to question, go through, analyze, and help understand that data. Because things can be installed incorrectly that will show incorrect data, and it may need a revisit, that something in the switchboard wasn't as it should normally be, and that affects the installation at the time. So that's always a good thing. Go to the apps first. Other things physically, I mean, look, you always want to make sure it's a neat installation. You want to make sure that anything that you can physically see, fasteners, conduits, cables, should always be neat and presented well. We focus a lot on hiding as much of that sort of stuff as possible, as in making it invisible. So wherever we can, we try to make the inverters look like they're floating on the wall, minimize the cables, conduits, things that you'll see, and that way it's more aesthetically pleasing. Then from the roof point of view, look, it's not advisable to really jump up and inspect the system and go through it, because you'll see things that you're concerned about that aren't a concern. But you always want to try to, if you can see it from the ground, just make sure that the cables are tucked up. Obviously it's neat on the roof. You don't want miles of overhanging rail, square panels, things like that. Presentation is key. Generally, if you'll find that it's quite presentable, then they've spent a bit of time to make everything correct up on the roof. And again, any questions, you should always be able to go back to that company to question it. If you do happen to see a bunch of cables laying on the roof and you're concerned, that company should be able to send one of their guys back to tidy that up. Little things like that. I definitely don't recommend jumping up and trying to pull the system apart to analyse it and put it back together. It is quite a specialised field. So that's the main thing you want to look at.
Thanks, Luke. That's a really good summary. But to recap quickly, number one is the app. Please make sure they set your app up properly. You can view it while they're on site and be comfortable with familiarize yourself with it. Because most systems, I think you have to have a mandatory app, especially for states that require the DNSP intervention for smart energy dynamics.
That's it.
So have the app set up, use it, get familiar, understand your system. And as you said about the point, neat and tidy, and cover conduit where possible, hide it in the brick wall or wherever it may be, and make sure the roof looks tidy and neat. Because if the installer goes to that effort to make it neat, then by extension it's going to be a high quality installed system with no issues or non-conformances. Yeah. All right. So being a Skyline installer, you're install a lot of high-end, expensive premium systems as well. Mm-hmm. So how do you communicate the value of a higher and more premium end systems to your consumers, especially like selling all your Powerwall 2s in a market with a myriad of other alternatives that are much cheaper price point? How do you go about this?
I think for us, we mainly have always pushed, the fact that it's not just the product you're buying, it's the company you're buying it through, and then the support you're going to get from the product itself. So by us expressing our confidence in the product and the confidence that we'll get support should the customer need it through the manufacturer, I think this is a big selling point for us, and something that customers really are drawn to, because again, when you've got like a 25-year warranty, and they may need support down the track because warranties are there for a reason, they want that confidence to go, okay, well, it is worthwhile spending the money with a company who is investing time and effort into quality products to support their clients through to the end. So although it's a premium, there's a lot of people out there that are more comfortable spending that to get that return. Now, a lot of new companies may sort of push it and go, well, we can offer you all of that, but they're only a year or two old or less, or maybe a bit more. I guess it resonates further with them. For us, we've been in the industry for 15 years. We've done some of the most well-known installations in residential in Sydney and surrounds. So we're quite known for quality and pushing our quality, and we're quite well known for our support, where multi-award winners through Tesla for customer support. We've got dedicated in-house support for the techs. So techs can call in, we can assist them on site, customers can call in, we can contact manufacturers. We've got the ability to be flexible with all of that. And at the end of the day, it's all about the consumer being satisfied with an outcome to say, okay, we may have had an issue, but because of that process, we've now solved that issue, and we've got the confidence sorted with the customer. So that and history of doing that is what we're known for. So it just helps us.
Guys, passion. This is, if you don't go with an installer with as much passion as Luke, you're not doing the right thing, right? You need somebody who loves what he does and takes pride in it. This is going to guarantee and safeguard your multi-$1,000 investment on your rooftop of your home. And while we're talking about homes, solar systems can also, by extension, indirectly add value to your home.
Yep.
I mean, if you just go on a simple thing, realestate.com.au, every single real estate agent who sells the houses, they mention it in the description for a reason, because it does add value add, save money on the bills for the next owner or occupier. So it's really, think of it in that aspect as well. You're adding value, not just the numbers and payback and the short-term gains, also long-term gains as well.
Definitely.
So what is the most premium bang for buck product setup you recommend at Skyline Solar?
Premium bang for buck would have to be our Suntech Solar Edge package. You're getting a panel product that's been manufactured for 20 plus years, been in Australia for almost that time, and has a lot of history of large commercial, residential, solar farms. It's entrenched in Australian culture, and it's got a Australian tie, so that also helps get it over the line. But then when you couple that with Solar Edge to say, look, your investment you can make secure by monitoring every panel, seeing how it's all working, and should there be a problem with a panel, then we can go and take that data, assist swiftly processing a warranty claim, and that then gives full confidence to the customer to say, well, not only am I taking the risk out of what's happening on the roof because I can physically see it, it's easily managed via the back end through Skyline Solar. So that would be our biggest bang for buck system that we sell.
Yeah.
Probably, I'd have to say a good 70% of our packages would be of that combination, and then a few other mix of whether it's in-phase or SMA, stuff like that.
Great, thanks Luke. So guys, emphasizing the point on using panel level technology for your solar investment is a really great option, especially with it's really well worth the premium that it encapsulates, because instead of having a string-based system where you're flying kind of blind when you have any sort of discrepancies in your monitoring portal or issues, you really have to kind of investigate it harder. With panel level monitoring, it's going to give you instant notification and analytics of what's going on, and you can just pinpoint it straight away. So, all right, next question. How do you ensure DC connectors, a well-known failure point in the field, are safeguarded against failures?
Moving to the new DC connection points from the old isolators.
This topic and in general, because I've seen a lot of systems with even my neighbor's place. I can literally see his end DC connector run just flopping on the tile roof. So I think the best way to do it is obviously tuck it up, make sure it's zip tied properly with the correct bracing, and not in a position to be in direct contact with sun or rain.
Yep.
So, how do you safeguard this with your systems?
Well, there are clips you can get that will actually hold those MC4s up under the panels. So we'll just clip them up under there, make sure that they're nice and secure and out of the weather.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure they're not sort of strained or any tension on any of the cables. And just make sure that they're firm but not pulled tight.
Yeah, cool. So a lot of things I see working in manufacturers, Suntech, I see that sometimes there is some issues with transportation. I mean, in the solar panel's life, there's many phases. There's manufacturing, there's transportation, and there's operation.
Yeah.
So we see sometimes transportation can cause some issue.
Mm-hmm.
Transportation damage. So what are some things you put in place or protocols to ensure minimize at least transportation damage?
Yeah, I mean, look, we repack pretty much every pallet that goes out for a job, except on extremely larger ones, so they're always packed vertically. It's a lot safer way to keep them packed. If we do pull them apart, then we'll have either the cardboard ends on them. We also pack them on sturdy pallets. We keep all the good pallets. We've got corners that got cardboard corners that we put on the ends of the stack, and then everything gets strapped up. So 99% of the time, 99.5% of the time, they'll make it to site okay. Every now and then we might have a fatality, whether it's en route or on site en route, but very rarely.
Cool. That's a very good breakage rate, I must say, Luke. I think some utility scale projects that's about 0.3%, so you're doing well.
Okay.
All right, so next one is, I get a lot of questions from installers when I interact with our partners, retailers, and they ask, can we install on a flat roof? Will it void the warranty? And I say to them, it's not a black and white answer, because you can. However, what comes with a flat roof is a flat plane of array. And if the array is flat, it's very easy for incoming contamination like debris, dust, dirt to really stain on the module without being washed off easily with rain and water, at least the very loose debris. And over time, this can cause a permanent shading fixture, which can also damage the panel with hotspot heating. So that's why we recommend, if you want to do a very shallow pitch roof, then you have to implement some protocols. So what are some things you recommend for systems of that nature?
When they're that low, usually we'll try to make up any sort of degree we can with the rail. If we can get another few degree out of just adjusting the tin feet front to back, we'll try that. And then of course we just let the customer know this is the downside to having the flat roofs, and higher maintenance is required. So generally, we'll only recommend, say, every 2 years, get the system cleaned, because most systems will wash off. In a system like this, it's annually that they would want to have a look at this to get the most out of their system. Okay.
Well, I hope that answers all your questions for this topic, guys. And thank you so much, Luke, for answering my questions. And till next time, it's been a pleasure.
Not a problem. Thank you.
Awesome, man.